Hello and welcome to the Still Unsponsored Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Zach.
And you're joining us in the new year.
Happy 2018.
Woohoo! This is... Okay, so last week we had our Merry Christmas episode, which was all of 30 seconds long.
Yeah, I don't think it could really be counted as an episode, but we'll do that.
Not really. Yeah, we will count it as an episode.
Minimally viable episode.
It's something that happened, and we're moving on.
Yeah.
This one is scheduled to air on New Year's Day.
Woo!
So
while you're at the gym working off all that holiday weight, listen to marketing podcasts.
Exactly. So we're going to go through a couple of things that are in the news. And, you know, this is sort of like a, obscure reference, like Rick and Morty versus South Park type situation here, where we're more on the like 2 years behind type schedule. And the news cycle has passed us by. But I still think that in taking a retrospective type look at a couple of items that have happened, mostly net neutrality and Patreon, will be good. And then we're going to go through Zach's New Year's predictions, 2018 or 2017 predictions that you published in 2016. Did I get that right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And maybe we'll make some predictions of our own and review in a year.
Cool.
All right.
We're doing this for another year?
Hell yeah.
All right.
That in and of itself is its own New Year's resolution.
All right.
So let's just start there. New Year's, 2017 prediction, Still Unsponsored survives another year.
You mean 2018?
Whatever. I don't know, dude. Okay, so let's start with Patreon. So here is what happened. Patreon, are you familiar with Patreon?
Yeah.
Okay, so... Well, that was not really the answer I was expecting.
No, Chris, please tell me.
Patreon is a website that allows users to sponsor content creators. So basically, I think their large positioning statement says something like, we enable subscription businesses, whether that's like content creation or some sort of like subscription business.
Not to be confused with the bike.
Right.
Peloton.
Sure. But basically many YouTubers in the face of adpocalypse are using Patreon, and this is not anything that's new. This started like 2 years ago, really trying to encourage people or their hardcore subscribers to kick them like $1 or $2 a month, as a way of subsidizing the content creation. Right. So do we have a Patreon page? No, we don't.
We probably should get one.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of it though, right? And we can go into that a little bit, but my first shot at Patreon or look at Patreon is it seemed like I don't know, like a little bit too like socialistic for my personal taste, but my views are evolving beyond that.
All right.
So here's what happened. Patreon, it used to be, you would subscribe to your favorite content creators Patreon page or whatever, and let's say $1 a month is what you were kicking them. Mm-hmm. And out of that $1 came like Patreon's fees, which I think was like 5%, and then credit card processing fees, which was like another 2 point something percent, right? So let's just say like 30% fees, right? That would come out of,
which is not like, that's like an Apple Store type thing,
right?
70-30,
right?
Yeah,
exactly. Mm-hmm. So what Patreon did, and this is the way they tried to sell it, was they tried to move the fees from the creator side, like the creator pays the fees, to the user side,
the patron side,
right? And so now instead of you kicking $1 a month, which is very easy to understand, you were then paying like $1.30 a month, depending on what the actual fees were. And there was just a gargantuan backlash, like across the board. And so when I saw this, it's like it immediately for me jumped out as a like spreadsheet exercise. That someone had done and said, we probably can increase revenue by 30% if we move the fees from one side to the other. And since the pool of people paying the fees will be much larger, there will be like you're distributing that load and there should be less resistance to it. Right. And, gargantuan backlash. The creators were unhappy because the Patreons were unhappy, and the Patreons, patrons, whatever. Well, yeah. I think the thing here is like, you're talking about an aggregate business, right? AdSense is all about like cents on thousands of views, right? And Patreon essentially is working the same way. It's like, if I'm supporting a show, I'm probably only paying $1 or $2, a month. And so if I'm say like supporting 5 or whatever, and then you go and you raise it 30%, not everyone is in like a privileged, financial situation where that's no big deal and they'd brush it off. A lot of people go, well, hang on, that went from something that I like doing to now all of a sudden you raise the prices on me and I'm upset.
Right.
So, I think that, I want to come back to this after we talk about net neutrality a little bit. But I think that like Patreon is all about like pure choice, and the relationship that the creators are building with the patrons is all about like, you enjoy my content. And so you are helping me support it and make it better, right? You don't have to do this. It's strictly because you get value out of it. And it's sort of like it would be like a donation only type restaurant.
Yeah.
Right. Or some sort of service.
They have a donation only yoga out in Tempe, Arizona. Fun fact.
There's one on East 6 as well that I drove by the other day.
Here?
Yeah.
Whoa. Donation only?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And it's actually, the sign on the door says like unusually high quality donation yoga.
All right. They have an angle.
There's positioning for you. So Patreon reversed their decision and rolled all the changes back.
Goodbye revenue.
Yeah, but at the same time, saving your business. So,
yeah.
Good
Thinking
for them.
Fast. Fail
good
fast.
for them. Good for them for, seeing the backlash and not trying to stick to it.
Fail fast.
Yeah.
Fail often, fail fast.
Yeah. Except, maybe try not to do it as on your face, publicly, hardcore, with your core business model or your, core business.
Spreadsheets don't tell the whole story all the time.
And I think that's for the average marketer listening to this, that is the big takeaway.
Yep.
Is, you need to connect your spreadsheet with reality.
Yep.
So, all right. Net neutrality.
Ugh.
Yeah. Just bleh.
This is such a shitty topic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to approach it a little bit more from our angle, then really get in and like litigate the different points. I think that kind of the things that I wanted to say on this topic were, one, you should go read there's a podcast that I really enjoy called Exponent. I probably mentioned them before, but he really breaks down why Title II may not have been the best thing for the telecom industry, but why net neutrality is important. And so I think it's, as we're all trying to deal with this new world, like there is the way that regulation is implemented, and then there is net neutrality as a concept. And these things are two separate things. And unless you're talking to someone that is extremely ignorant, which seems like all of our Congress people, you're not going to get anyone that's going to argue that net neutrality is at its core bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you will get a bunch of difference of opinion on how that regulation should be implemented.
Yeah.
And, I think the thing that you and I, when we've discussed this at lunches and, in hallways and stuff like that, come back to is, these companies are literally the most hated companies.
Yep.
We've been talking about like, here and there, like NPS scores, right? And you can go read benchmarks for NPS scores.
So like negative.
Right. And this is the time of year where, like starting in January or whatever, you'll get the most blank company of the year. Right. And there will be Comcast and Verizon and AT&T at the bottom.
Yep.
And probably at the bottom this year, because, last year I think it was BP had just royally screwed the Gulf of Mexico, and so they were the most hated. But this year it'll probably be all back in the telecom court.
Even if you take out the customer service piece of it, but just the financial piece of it, that's what sucks.
Yeah. So, this morning I was thinking about this, and let me see if I can articulate this. The Patreon thing versus the net neutrality thing, I think are like, if you put them on a continuum, net neutrality, the fear is that all of your choice will be eliminated, right? And the telecom companies are going to use their oligopoly to force you into paying more or restricting your access to the internet.
Yep.
Right. Patreon is at this whole other end of the spectrum where it's do what you want, right? We're just here to enable almost pure economics. It's hey, you're doing something that provides value to me, so I'm going to pay you for it.
Yep.
Right. And you see Patreon try and squeeze their customers a little bit, and people freak out. And then you see net neutrality, and the anticipation that the telecom companies are going to do something like that, and people freak out. So I kind of think that on a continuum, these things are related, and it's all about customers choice. And when you're pushing someone into a box, even though this sort of heavy-handed negotiation that the telecom companies use may be favorable business in the way of spreadsheets and case studies, it's people hate it. People really, really hate it.
Yeah. I mean, the internet's supposed to be free, interconnected.
Yeah.
What's all right? So here,
Go ahead, Zach.
Nah.
Tell me your thoughts.
I have no thoughts.
I don't believe you.
Here's the thing, right? So if everyone had unlimited providers or wasn't an oligopoly, you had multiple providers and you could select, okay, cool, this one or this one or this one, that'd be one thing.
Right.
The argument that with these new rules, that as long as they are transparent in what they're blocking or restricting access to, it's A-okay, right? That's cool, assuming you have choice. For the most part, you have one choice.
Yeah.
Or maybe two.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no completely free, open option.
Well, yeah. And, again, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but at a federal level, when you get the blowhards that argue about their economic philosophies, it's they'll say, oh, well, we need to remove these restrictions to let, markets do what markets do. Well, it's really local government that is protecting these oligopolies, because if you want to come into my neighborhood and start digging up sidewalks or underneath sidewalks, it's not me that you need to ask permission for, which is sort of fucked up. It's the city of Pflugerville, or the city of Austin, or the Travis County, or whoever, and that can be very, very, very problematic for these companies. So
if it wasn't profitable, they wouldn't be here. That's the other piece. There's a reason why Verizon and AT&T pay out huge dividends every quarter.
Yeah. Well, and as I was discussing this with my wife, our particular neighborhood's really not a great example of this, because I could get DSL, I could get cable, I could get, I have fiber. So we do actually have choice. But you go,
lucky.
Yeah,
I don't.
Well, you go out to Manor, or you go, 2 miles north, and there's going to be maybe one company that can service you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really the bulk of America.
As long as it's transparent, though.
Yeah. So, to end that point,
your note is why Zach should care.
In the show notes, why Zach should care. Well, okay, here's what's at stake with net neutrality, right? And this is why, as a marketer, you should care, right? The doomsday scenario for marketers is you are creating a startup, or you're marketing your business, right? Let's say you're a PPC guy, right? Or you're an SEO guy, right? And you work your ass off, or pay a bunch of money or whatever to get your site in front of a particular customer. So envision the Google search result page, right? And it's so glorious. You're at number one slot, right? And you got just the right ad copy, and you're getting hella click-throughs, and someone clicks on it, right?
Hell yeah.
And you know, Chris in Pflugerville, Texas, can click through and see your site, and I convert, right? But Zach in Manor, Texas, who has a different ISP, now sees a window that says, sorry, you know, internet marketer startup is not part of your package.
Yeah. Please upgrade now.
Please, you know, either upgrade now or just, you know, PFO.
Yep.
Right. To, you know, this whole thing's been framed in the view of like the consumer, like, can I get to the sites that I want? But like from that perspective, from the business's perspective, that is absolutely tragic.
Yep.
Right. Because how is the person even going to know that their site was blocked?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah. So that is why net neutrality, the concept, is at least very important to me.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Topic change.
Yes.
Okay. Zach.
Yes.
What were your predictions last year?
That be doing a podcast?
You didn't see that one coming.
No, I did not. So you found this article by accident. This is on my website, and so I've started doing this the last couple of years, and I ended up deleting my site a few years ago. So this is the latest and greatest that I have. So for 2017, I had a few big kind of predictions for this last year, since it's 2018 right now that you'll be hearing this. So the first thing, and you know, I'd love to maybe see a thumbs up or thumbs down from you. I don't know.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sitting here thinking, how can I argue with every one of these?
Great. All right. Well, my first one is video advertising will be king. So go for it, Chris. Let's see. Thumbs down on this one.
Yeah, the problem is I kind of agree with this one. That, yeah, it is pretty much king at this point. And the evidence that I would point to is the freakouts over Adpocalypse. That was advertiser led. And then, you know, sort of the other side is sort of these content creators. So you don't, like, you look at an argument like that, and the only reason it's as big as it is because this form of advertising is so important.
Here, prediction for this year. It will continue to be king and supreme king. Facebook announced this week that they are now doing pre-roll instead of mid-roll on all their advertising. Yeah. So there you go, kids.
Yep.
Video will continue. And they don't have to be crazy big ones either. You know, long videos are complex. I think Google's now recommending like 5-6 seconds tops to really kind of get some engagement going.
Well, but then here's the other thing is, like, does that actually count as a view that goes in? There's some caveats.
Oh, yeah.
For those playing along at home, like, yes, Google comes in very strong, like your Google reps, and say, like, you know, 6-second videos are driving the most, you know, click-throughs or whatever. But
the cost per view goes way up.
Right. But then there's also some other caveats around, like, yeah, but if someone that views that doesn't go on the, like, viewed my ad retargeting list because they didn't, quote, watch for long enough. So, you know,
yeah,
talk to PPC guys.
Asterisk. Yeah.
Asterisk.
All right, so that's my first kind of prediction. I feel like that's pretty damn true. I think I nailed that one.
Yeah.
So then kind of a second how you win this year. Just a quick summary: make videos. Don't be complicated. Just make videos. Put them out there. See what works, and move on. And don't leave them out there forever. Rotate quickly.
Yeah, we're gonna need to do a whole episode on, you know, content hierarchy and what you should invest in and what you shouldn't invest in, and how to get stuff out there. But, you know, look for that sometime 2018. Yeah.
All right, my second prediction, which I think, if anything, this is probably one that maybe you could thumbs down a little bit. I was thinking that VR and augmented reality would be huge, but not profitable yet. I think if you talk to all the nerds, you know, kind of in the really like the VR space, I think it lost a little bit of steam. I think there's been a lot of issues with Oculus and all that good stuff. Yep. If you remember in 2016, the I can't remember say it right, the HoloLens from Microsoft made a debut. Yeah. Pokemon Go made a huge debut. Yeah. That was the craze.
And then it burned itself out.
So, you know, this past year, Apple has done some really cool stuff at their WWDC on the like literally on the table with the iPhone 10 or X or whatever you call it, you know, showing some really cool stuff. I still think this is probably true. I think things have slowed down a little bit, but I do think that augmented reality will become very huge. Probably not profitable yet. I don't think in 2018. Until someone starts putting like ads like on the sidewalk or something.
Well, and I think actually you probably need to separate VR from augmented reality.
That's true.
Right? Because, we went and saw Star Wars last night. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into all the spoilers here in a second. Actually, we're not going to do that. But, in the pre-rolls,
previews? Movie previews?
Yeah, I'm going to call them pre-rolls. In the pre-rolls, there was a pre-roll advertisement for the Pixel 2 and how it exclusively came with Star Wars augmented reality stickers.
Yeah.
Right? And you saw, I think it was earlier this year, the like Snapchat's dancing sausage man that became like a meme. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like VR, I think has its own problems because the way the technology could get implemented, it's like, do you need a big room? It was almost like the problem with Kinect. Mm-hmm. Like, do you remember Kinect?
Yep.
And it's like, to really play with Kinect, you needed like some space to move around.
Yeah.
So
more to come on that. I don't think there's too much marketers can do quite yet. The platforms haven't opened up yet, but we'll see. 2018 should be exciting.
My prediction on this is that it's going to arrive without fanfare. This is like video calling. Remember as a child how they're like, in the future there'll be flying cars and video calls, right? Well, then video calls showed up and no one really gave a shit or noticed.
It just became business as usual.
Business as usual. Yeah.
Thanks, Skype.
Yeah.
Next prediction: goodbye desktop SEO. This even back then was kind of a thing, and it just continued. So your site needs to be mobile friendly. Period. Yep. It needs to be mobile first. Honestly.
Yep.
There's not too much to add here. I don't think there's any more new predictions. I mean, the one thing that we have seen is Google's continued to iterate very quickly on their algorithm with new updates, new ranking factors. Old stuff's done. So if anything, so maybe a new prediction could be this is technical SEO, stuff with like meta redirects versus 301s versus 302s, HTTPS 2, image optimization, all that stuff. When you start getting really nerdy, I have a feeling that might be making a little bit more of a forefront because everyone now is starting to do the basics, and a lot of the mobile friendly websites are very simple in nature. So
I'd kind of, this is again, we say this every episode, like a tangent big enough for its own episode, but I think that I used to spend a lot of time thinking about SEO, and then as I sort of progressed to managing a whole brand, unless something is catastrophically wrong, you sort of follow this progression of like, well, okay, I want to do SEO, and SEO say content is king, but like if you don't have a brand that's worth writing about, then there's no content to be had.
Yep.
So really it's like your brand and your product is king.
So yeah, and brands have always been important in Google's eyes. They're just going to continue.
Yeah.
You type in a brand name, it usually maintains the entire SERPs. It's usually that one brand. So
yeah, so I would say, okay, if you're a CMO, like really focus on your brand and your product.
Yep.
But you should probably also employ an SEO to make sure that everything's crawlable.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? There's sort of like a minimal barrier to entry there, and then everything above that is not necessarily important. Unless you're an affiliate marketer.
I'd agree with that. Next one.
I think you get a like 80% on that one.
I'll take it. It's passing.
You got like a 40% on the previous one.
What are you talking about? All right. Next one. Attribution's getting easier, more creepy. So, so when I wrote this back in 2016,
see our previous episode on this topic.
Yeah, no kidding.
2 episodes.
When I wrote about this in 2016, so Facebook was really an innovator in this space because they had the essentially Facebook tracking across the interwebs.
Yep.
So sites that employed the Facebook Pixel were able to essentially do multi-device tracking. So if you were logged on as Chris somewhere, you went to website A, website B, and then you went to your cell phone, because you had the Facebook app on there, it was able to essentially track you, multi-device attribution. When I first wrote this, Google started rolling out similar technology with email lists and whatnot. But this is, I think, behind the scenes. We're getting into like really creepy zone here soon, where this is already a thing now. Google, in fact, I was just getting retargeted pretty crazy with something I looked at The Office. Don't know how. Somehow Google knew it was me.
So it's, I think...
And I'm not logged into Google Chrome, by the way.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. Although, I would say that like we probably for this year's predictions could probably say something along the lines of like, well, is it a model based attribution, or is it like Google or Facebook just roll out? They finally are rolling out products that reveal their data to you. Right.
Yeah. So my prediction is the new Google attribution tool that they're starting to roll out in betas yet. I haven't gotten my hands on it yet. I'm really excited to. I have a feeling that's going to be a game changer for a lot of small businesses. They can't afford, huge multi-touch attribution vendors. And my other, I guess you could kind of go along with this. Those big attribution vendors are probably going to go out of business.
Yeah.
If Google's providing it to you and you get what you need out of it, there's no point. Why would you use secondhand, third-hand knowledge?
Right.
There's no point. So throw that in there. We'll probably see a couple of these attribution vendors start struggling pretty quickly and trying to really maybe integrate with other data providers or something else of that nature. And then you already touched on this, Chris. You should have read my entire article, but brands. My last prediction.
Maybe I was just setting you up.
For a little foreshadow.
Yeah.
So we covered this already, but you really need to build up your brand.
Yeah.
For your individual consultants out there, you need to be front and center, you yourself. It's all about individuality and creating a brand around yourself or your business.
I like how your example is Golfsmith and they're out of business.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Can't win them all.
All right. So, all right. Give me a ranking on the attribution piece. Sorry, we skipped ahead.
The attribution piece, I feel like you were thinking not 2017 but 2018. I think you're right. I think the amount of data that's out there that Google and Facebook have at their disposal is intense, and it's cross-device. I think Google's been able to track people cross-device for a long time, but like when Twitter rolled it out, Google's reps were saying to me at the time, yeah, we have that. We just don't want to roll it out because we're afraid of starting bad PR.
Yep.
And then they didn't have to, right? They weren't going to they already owned the advertising markets, that they needed to own. So what was the point in taking some bad PR from the tinfoil hats?
Yeah.
I think this one's just going to continue. And I like your prediction of you might see the beginning of the end for the the C3s and the VIQs and the visual IQs, all those guys, the model based attribution vendors, because Google will just come out and reveal.
There's no question.
Hey, here you go.
They have 99% coverage of the internet, so
right. And same thing with Facebook.
Put a story together.
It was always funny, people had those like buttons all over their blogs, and it's like, well, why do you think those like buttons were phoning home to the mothership? You go watch the network, reports in Chrome as the page loads, and it's like, oh, the thumbs up button is phoning home with a whole bunch of information.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, because you like that story about cool things for your dog. You're now considered a dog lover in Facebook forever.
Yeah. So, no, I think overall you get a thumbs up. The VR one was probably your biggest swing, and
I missed.
And I think you maybe missed there. And maybe that's a prediction for the next 5 years is that'll show up and no one will care.
I think so. Yeah. I think augmented reality, AR. I think I think VR has a really cool kind of set of things you could do with it. Probably more gaming starting out.
As someone who enjoys the occasional video game, VR seems really cool.
Yeah. But you're right. You need space. You need room. There's definitely conditions, I think, for it to work. Yeah.
I see that, that'll come in and affect the people that build these, $3,000 gaming rigs.
Right.
But, my prediction on VR, I've been saying this for a while, is until it's available on consoles, it's really not going to be anywhere close to mainstream.
Yep. So other things for this year, I think that we have to look at prediction-wise. I believe that chatbots are going to explode.
Oh.
Facebook has started rolling out something already. There's a couple other competitors out there. I believe that this is going to be a game changer, and that if you're small business, put some money aside for this here before the end of the year, because I have a feeling what's going to happen is you're going to have a chatbot that can take orders for you on your website. So imagine you're a pizza shop and someone can place an order right from your website from their phone. They can answer FAQs, so no longer you're answering the phone about store hours. There's a lot of kind of really cool things that can come out from this. So I really think chatbots, $50 a month type thing, are going to explode this year.
Yes. I had a prediction in line with net neutrality. I think it'll take probably sub 6 months before there is a major news cycle event where a telecom company changes a policy that people see as a violation of net neutrality. Like, I think under 6 months.
You think under 6 months?
Under 6 months, we're gonna see something. And,
Yeah.
And furthermore, big swing for bonus points. I actually kind of wonder if, we're looking at this like this Amazon, Google, Apple like three-way war for the the TV. Could we see a partnership develop, or say Google, who's a big supporter of net neutrality,
with good reason.
with good reasons,
Yeah.
but they also essentially are an ISP here in the Austin market and other markets.
Yep.
What if they block an Amazon, or like an Amazon, like an Amazon Instant, something like that?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a big swing. I don't think that's going to happen. But
you could see someone pitching it.
I could see someone pitching it. I also could see Google stepping up. They have a ton of dark fiber. Google is known to have a ton of dark fiber everywhere. I know they're starting to shut down and do some really cool things. So I wouldn't be surprised if Google Fiber continues to roll out in different places. I also see, I don't know if you've seen this pop up quite a bit, but kind of like wireless internet. A lot for the third world countries, but I wouldn't be surprised if domestically we start getting some really cool 5G, quote unquote, internet providers pop up this year. Yeah.
So, the Exponent guys talked about this, like wireless as a competitor to wired. I think in urban areas or suburban areas that could work. The problem the United States faces is just so spread out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else are kind of the buzzwords and things happening? I think kind of broad spectrum. CPCs across the board are going to go up, and paid advertising.
Yeah.
Every platform.
So I feel like we're setting ourselves up, maybe not next year, maybe the year after, for a competitor to come in and start to disrupt like Facebook's stranglehold on sort of organic content. Right? Because CPCs are going up, like you and I both know, CPCs on Facebook going way, way up, to the point where it's like Google starting to look like, friendlier, right?
Yep.
And I think that there's a lot of marketers out there that, Matt Iman had a great, the Oatmeal had a great cartoon the other day that was sort of like, you brought all your users to Facebook because it was a great place to share your content with them, and then all of a sudden Facebook said, actually, you got to pay to talk to them.
Yep.
Right. So then are these content creators going to rebel and say, and it's really weird because it's like Facebook wants to monetize all this video with pre-rolls, but it also wants you to pay to distribute your video. So which is it?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's not 2018. That's probably 2019.
Yeah. So I think maybe late 2018, 2019, 2020, we're going to see something shake loose there.
Yeah. Facebook can't be relevant forever.
Yeah. Probably short term, like early 2018, we're probably just going to see a shitload more pain on YouTube from the creators. As this whole like adpocalypse and everything
continues.
Yeah. Because, Google's not going to throw people at censoring videos. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
I feel like we should make some prediction like Twitter shuts down Trump's account or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if Twitter gets sold.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
They can't keep running in the red every quarter.
Oh, that's a good one.
I bet. Yeah, I bet Twitter will get sold to someone. Someone will buy it.
What if extra bonus points on top of that? I feel like we have two levels of predictions, like the base prediction, like, yes or no. But the like bonus points is Twitter doesn't get sold to a tech company. It gets sold to someone that just has a political vendetta.
All right, that's a bonus point if that happens.
Well,
Let's look at some 10-to-1 odds here.
Well, you could see like a Murdoch or a Ted Turner type, someone that is, or Koch brothers, someone with a political axe to grind that has the cash flow, come in and grab that thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure, be interesting.
Yeah.
Uber.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about
how long are we running here?
We're at 35 right now. We should wrap this up in like the next 4 minutes.
Okay. All right. I wouldn't be surprised if Uber keeps losing market share to Lyft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lyft keeps getting more and more investment. I think that Uber's already admitted America is a loss right now. I think Lyft's going to continue. And I think electric cars in general are going to... I think, AI driving.
You think we're going to see that by the end of 2018?
I think we'll see more of it. It's already starting to happen in limited geos. All I know is I'm waiting to get my fully level 5 car.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah. So as soon as that comes out, I'm plunking down a deposit. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of money that you'll get back from having,
or spend on drinking heavily and being able to drive home safely.
So maybe it's going to be a net loss.
It'll be a net loss. It'll be really cool.
A revolution for bars.
And we already talked about your stagecoach concept, but this is getting way deep.
Well, that technology is going to disrupt also a bunch of local government, right?
It's going to disrupt everything.
It's
going to disrupt everything.
I feel like the other thing that is I'm like, I feel like that's so technical, but there's a disruption coming in terms of local government because there's all these different factors lining up, whether it's like changes in telecom or autonomous drivers or electric vehicles or whatever that are gonna like chip away at both the ways that local governments regulate and the ways that local governments generate income. That you're gonna need to see maybe some sort of like really heavy-handed federal intervention, saying like what was the when the EPA was formed, and I gotta go fact check this, but it was like when the EPA was formed and it's like they banned logging and there was a bunch of subsidies for these small communities. I think the same thing's happened in mining. Maybe you see the same thing happen with the rise of autonomous cars. Loss of oil, tax revenue, something like that. Yeah. So
it's already happening. Yeah.
All right. Anything we want to finish up with?
I don't know. Off to a good new year.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Make
everyone.
it great.
Exactly. Find us, stillunsponsored.com, Twitter, Instagram. Dude, our Instagram's on a roll.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Still unsponsored.
Still unsponsored.
Hey, we'll get sponsored this year. That's my prediction.
Okay, let me change the prediction to we get put in an awkward spot about our name.
All right, I like it. That sounds good.
Cool, dude. All right. Well, I was going to say talk to you later, like it's the end of a phone call.
Well, see you later.
All right, conference call over.